Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're plunging into something genuinely unexpected, I gotta say. It's got my curiosity totally piqued. The return of Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. to Cartoon Network. Now, you might be thinking, wait, why now? And, well, that's exactly what we've been digging into with our sources.
It is a surprise, isn't it? Like a real head-scratcher at first glance. I mean, I remember that show. It originally aired, late 2000s?
Sure.
Mostly on Boomerang, I think. And yeah, like a lot of people, I was kind of obsessed with it. That darker, serialized take on Scooby was different. So the big question, like you said, is the strategy. Why bring this particular show back right now?
Absolutely. And when we started, unpacking the sources, it became pretty clear this isn't just some random wave of nostalgia hitting. Our research points to a really fascinating, quite deliberate, strategic reason here. It seems to be driven by discovering this dual audience.
That's exactly it. And what's really cool is how the data, we looked at viewer analytics, market surveys, that kind of stuff. It really shines a light on this. We found, get this, a whopping 71% of millennials are still watching Scooby-Doo content, actively watching.
Wow, 71%. That's impressive on its own.
Right. But at the same time, you've got kids, say age 6 to 12, who are basically discovering Scooby-Doo for the very first time. So Cartoon Network is like hitting two birds with one stone here. They're reaching the original fans and a totally new generation simultaneously.
Okay, so what does this insight mean for you listening right now?
Well, it really highlights this powerful trend, doesn't it? That the enduring appeal of certain stories, it's not just luck, it's not fleeting. It shows how specific shows, specific narratives can genuinely bridge generations. Proving some things really do become cultural touchstones that stand the test of time. They can adapt. So yeah, this sets us up nicely to explore what actually makes a show like Mystery Inc. such a classic for, well, really different groups of people. And digging a bit deeper there, our sources suggest this wasn't just a, happy accident. It seems quite calculated. Mystery Inc. specifically. It had that ongoing story, those darker, more complex themes. That's what really resonated with millennials, I think, on a level that maybe the more traditional Monster of the Week Scooby didn't always hit. He gave you real plot progression, character development. Made it surprisingly binge-worthy. Even before binge-watching was really a thing we all talked about.
That's a super important distinction, isn't it? It's not just any Scooby-Doo they brought back. It's Mystery Incorporated that's making the specific comeback. Did your sources give any clues about why this version, in particular, manages to grab... A lot of nostalgic reboots kind of struggle to find that new audience.
Yeah, they absolutely did touch on that. For the new generation, the kids, it's still the classic characters they recognize, right? Scooby, Shaggy, the whole gang. But it's presented with like a more contemporary animation style. And the mystery format feels kind of fresh, engaging for today's younger viewers. Is that familiar core of Scooby-Doo, but mixed with the more modern storytelling approach of Mystery Inc. It just makes it incredibly accessible, apparently. Our deep dive on this involved, well, looking at a mix of things. We cross-referenced viewer numbers from streaming platforms, recent demographic surveys that Warner Bros. Commissioned, and even like qualitative stuff from fan forums online.
Okay.
Yeah, this kind of layered approach let us see not just who is tuning in, but maybe get a better sense of why this specific show is clicking so well across different age groups.
That really does speak volumes about, well-crafted IP, how it can be recontextualized. It's not just banking on, remember this.
Yeah.
It's about smart content deployment. And beyond just the numbers and the story structure, our sources also got into the specific character appeal. That seems to be a big part of this multi-generational thing. Actually, we asked you all about your favorite Scooby characters, and the responses were fantastic. They really show how certain elements just connect with everyone, regardless of age.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We saw some great insights there from listeners, like the feedback on Shaggy, for instance. So often it came back to his relatability, right? The comedy relief. That has universal appeal. Then you've got Velma. Her intelligence, the problem solving that's inspiring for loads of people, young or old. It's these like distinct archetypes within the gang. They just endure.
Exactly. Fred's leadership, the trap obsession, Daphne's evolution over the years, and obviously Scooby himself. That loyalty, the appetite, these aren't just simple character traits. They feel more like foundational elements. They connect with basic human experiences, at different points in our lives. The sources we looked at consistently flagged this timeless character appeal as a huge factor in the whole franchise's longevity.
Which does raise a pretty important question, doesn't it? If we connect this to the the bigger picture of entertainment.
Hmm.
What does it really tell us about keeping a franchise alive and kicking for so long? Our sources kind of analyze this through the lens of like transmedia storytelling and how having a flexible format, in this case, the mystery format, lets Scooby Doo adapt again and again without losing its core identity. It's actually, well, it's kind of a masterclass in managing and reviving beloved content successfully.
Wow. Yeah, some really fascinating insights coming out of this deep dive into the Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. revival. Honestly, we've had a blast uncovering the strategic thinking and the sheer lasting appeal behind this comeback. Pretty unexpected, but makes sense when you dig in.
We really did.
Yeah.
And I think this deep dive just reinforces the value,
Hmm.
exploring these revivals, even ones that seem simple on the surface. They can really reveal some fascinating trends in how audiences engage and just the enduring power of these classic stories across different generations. Plus, it highlights how media companies are getting smarter, perhaps, about leveraging the IP they already own in new ways.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely don't want to miss our next deep dive. We'll be exploring more intriguing topics just like this one. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your deep dives. Until next time, zoinks.
And maybe just a final thought to leave you with. If we do connect this to that bigger entertainment picture, what's truly fascinating to consider is, well, what really makes a show like Scooby Doo Mystery Inc. resonate across decades? And maybe, why do some stories become these timeless cultural touchstones for new generations, while others just fade away? Something to ponder.